All right, everybody. I am super excited. We got Hannah Hooper from Grouplove here today. I'm a big fan, so I'm stoked to talk to you today.
I'm stoked to talk to you too.
So you said your arm's a little sore. You got some vaccination done yesterday, huh?
I did. I got the vaccine and thought I was kind of like the superhero one, the one that wasn't going to have any, side effects. And I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, "What is happening?"
Well, it sounds pretty typical. I mean, I've heard a lot of people had reactions, so it's expected, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's just your immune system working.
Yeah, it's my immune system working, and I feel like I'm one step closer to potentially touring. So
I know. I just saw a festival poster for Outside Lands yesterday, or maybe a couple days ago, and I was like, wow, I love seeing it.
I know, me too. I love seeing it, and then I'll believe it when it's happening.
Exactly. I'm like, I love the optimism. I like it, and hopefully reality aligns with that optimism.
Yeah, exactly.
So Hannah, I know Grouplove just dropped a new album, so I am excited to hear about it and the process that went into it and what we can expect while we're listening to that. But before we talk about that, would you mind taking us back and just letting us know how Hannah got into music in the first place?
Yeah, let me take you back.
Yeah.
So I really got into music when I met Christian, which was when we were living in New York, and I was in college, and we fell in love, and he was in a band already. He was in this band called Alok, and I was drawing and doing a lot of artwork for his band, and we were hanging out a lot, and he was writing a lot of music. And sometimes, late night I'd start humming along to him or something like that, and he'd be like, "What was that? Was that a harmony, or what are you doing there?" And he kept kind of continuing to just asked me to sing a little louder, and I definitely was all nerves and very, very shy, which is funny because now I feel like I'm the opposite with music. But he sort of nurtured this voice out of me that I think, when I look back, I knew I loved music, but I never imagined myself making music. So that was really the start. I started just like harmonizing with Christian, and we went on this amazing trip to Greece together when we first met. That's how we met the whole band. And it was a residency in Greece. I was invited there to paint, and I brought Christian along, and he wrote a bunch of songs, and we sort of just started singing. It happened really naturally, but it wasn't until we started like doing shows that I realized I wasn't ready for it. I was like, I'm not ready to stand in front of people. We actually recently found a YouTube video of us at a bar in Brooklyn, and I'm as far back in the dark as you could possibly stand, and Christian's in the front, and you can't even hear me. I'm so shy. So that was really the start for me. It was just like hanging out with the person I was falling in love with and singing, and yeah, it became Grouplove.
So you must have had some musical background, though, because harmonies takes a, kind of a working knowledge of music. I mean, some of it's innate to some people, which is awesome. But you said you liked music, but you kind of felt more like an observer than a participant. Did you have any sort of musical background to know, how to hit those harmonies while you're singing?
I took piano when I was little. I was terrible at it. I actually faked that I could read music for as long as I possibly could. And then my piano teacher was like, "You don't know how to read music, and you are not practicing enough." And my dad is also very musical. He sings a lot. He does a lot of covers with his friends who are like crazy musicians. So I grew up in San Francisco. There was this Grateful Dead-y hippie vibe going on. So there was a lot of music. We had a lot of Dylan in the house, a lot of Fleetwood Mac, a lot of the band. And so that was always around, and instruments were always out. But I honestly always found myself drawing because I loved observing. And I guess through that, I guess I always thought my voice was with a pen and a paintbrush. And it's just interesting the way I found myself, like slowly, especially with this album, like I've really found my voice. It's taken 10 years or 11 years for me to slowly discover what my voice really sounds like and where it comes from. But it's been a really like natural journey, but it's just been in the spotlight, which is what's different for my story. Is like I've been learning about myself as a singer sort of in the spotlight.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So then you've been an artist though, and actually, why don't you back up your phone a little bit and show us that work of art behind you there? As you were getting situated, I was like, hey, that's a cool piece of art, and you're like, I did that.
Yeah, that's I actually tried to make that one of our first EP cover, and very early fans might have it, but that's a portrait I did of JFK, and
Very cool.
you can't use his face for an album that's not entirely about him, and we couldn't say that all our songs are about JFK.
That'd be funny.
Though I tried.
You guys write some 2-page rationale about how every song could be about JFK. But
Totally.
that's an interesting fact. Is I guess because his family is still so active in the public spotlight. I feel like with some people you could probably get away with it, but he's
Totally.
got a lot of invested interest still in him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I was
it
like,
looks.
it's not JFK. I'm just
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very cool. When did you start? So you've been an artist regardless of your involvement in music professionally for how long? When did you start your art?
I mean, really, really, really early. I feel like, I always enjoyed working with my hands. So there was like collaging, or I have this memory of making candles, like cutting up wax and melting them for Christmas presents when I was young with my mom. And my mom just was like so supportive, but she was like, this is very good. She was like, your sense of I don't know, she really, like, from a very young age sort of nurtured that, and
Hmm.
gave me this confidence. I think my brother, older brother, and younger sister were both really academic and really good at sports, and I don't know if my mom was just trying to help me find my voice, but I felt the most comfortable
Uh-huh.
making things.
It's interesting those little off the cuff comments of support that can stick with you. You know what I mean? Like your mom
Definitely.
from whatever 25 years ago or something's just like, hey, you're really good at this or whatever, and you're like,
Totally.
and then it just sticks with you. You're like, I remember my mom said I was a good artist, and I'm just gonna.
Yeah, any kind of support in any, the reason I'm singing is because Christian from the get was like, I hear your voice, like it's really good, I hear you have very unique ideas, like I love the way you write, he constantly was saying yes to me, and like, that's beautiful, and like, sing louder, and you know what I mean, come
Yeah,
up front a little more, step into the light. Like
yeah.
literally he was doing that. And when Grouplove first started, I would wear a mask on stage, which is so weird looking back, but I wore a mask.
Hmm.
And part of it is because when I get nervous, I get red from like my chest up. It's intense. It's like almost like a birthmark. It's so red. So I wore this mask, and I remember we had a show in Germany, and I couldn't find it. I was like, oh my god! And that was sort of the end. That was the end of the mask.
Yeah, once you did it without it, you're like, I don't need this.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us a little bit about because it sounds like you guys found success pretty quickly. Because I know just from your guys' debut, you had that huge song Tongue Tied. And so tell us a little bit about how you guys put together that first album and the reception to it.
Putting together the first album was really exciting because there wasn't like this hype and this need to write like any hits or anything. It was just a
Yeah.
bunch of friends. It was friends that we all met in Greece, and we all ended up going out to LA. Our drummer at the time, Ryan, was like, let's produce some of these songs we've been singing in Greece. And we went out there and just like, we just had fun with it. It was just like a bunch of kids smoking weed and hanging out in someone's house.
Yeah.
And it was just liberating. Like Christian and I had been in New York doing the grind for so long, and just to have the sunshine and the palm trees, and Ryan had a swimming pool, and we were just like, what is this life? And so we were
Uh-huh.
writing from that place. And Christian wrote the riff to Tongue Tied. And I remember him playing it one night to like our neighbors living in the front house, and everyone was just like, yo, this is so, like, people were dancing just to it without any lyrics on it.
Hmm.
And I remember I was like, oh, take me to your best friend's house. And he was like, we are never going to sing that. That's so nerdy. And I was like, I don't know. I keep hearing that. Because if you just take away the vocals, the instrumental is beautiful. It really
Hmm.
is. Christian actually scores movies and he's just like got such an emotional way that he writes music. And so I think there was a combination between me not having that I don't know, that fear, because I have no musical background, of like trying to be cool, or
Yeah.
I was just like always having fun with it. And so that combination between us and then the other guys, like all this amazing, like Andrew's guitar playing was insane, and Sean, who was our bass player at the time, just added this crazy. I mean, he was Brit. He's a Brit, so he wrote this crazy bass line, and then Ryan's producing sensibilities, and it was just a magical group of friends.
And it is just instantaneously catchy. Like you said, the music is just so fun and so lighthearted. But that lyric, that first lyric is so, like you said, maybe because there wasn't any pretension behind it, and you feel like it's kind of like a playful, almost like a childlike thing to say, you know. And I think that comes across in the music, and why it's just kind of like this lighthearted, fun song from the get-go.
Totally. I mean, we were definitely in that space too. And I think the idea is just, it was from the beginning with Grouplove, is we want to create a space where everyone feels included, everyone feels lifted up, everyone feels safe at our shows, all those things. And take me to your best friend's house, like that says it. We're like, we'll go to whoever's best friend's house.
Yeah. I mean,
You
the
know?
best pop songs, you know, the best classic pop songs feel like that, you know. They feel
Yeah.
effortless and fun and lighthearted. So it was so tell us, you put out this album, because I like probably a lot of people heard that song, I think, from a Apple ad early on. Was it an iPod ad, or was it do you remember what it was?
Is it terrible that I can't remember? I come from like a zine, like kind of punk rock, like Bay Area background. So
Uh-huh.
syncing music in advertisements seemed like I was like, oh no, is this
Uh-huh.
okay?
Uh-huh.
Like, so it wasn't, I never questioned like how we made the art or what we were saying or anything. But when it
Yeah.
was like where we were putting it, I was a little, and everyone was like, dude, Apple is the coolest ad
Yeah.
you can possibly do. And
Totally.
so
Uh-huh.
it changed our career. That ad changed our career for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's strange, because I feel like in the past 5-10 years, maybe Apple hasn't been as influential with like these like selected indie hits, you know what I mean? But I feel like in the early, 2000s or whatever, they were just like plucking these like
They
songs that
were.
just became like massive hits. Like we interviewed Data Rock a few months back. They were one of them. I remember
Feist, right?
Feist. I was about to say, yeah, that song,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, that song. And
Yeah.
so yeah, and you guys were one of those. You're part of that like lineage, and yeah, Apple, they're cool. They're a cool brand. So it's
Yeah.
there's definitely it wasn't like a Kmart commercial or something like
No,
that.
but what's weird is that, like, I mean, I hear so much music in commercials these days, but I really think the way advertising is the most successful is when you don't know you're being sold something. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so if your song is like in a Fritos ad, there, I don't know, it's like, but when you're in a trailer, or when you're in like, whatever, there's so many cool things when you're with us in a sports game, or just those kind of moments are really, really
Mm,
special. And for some reason, Apple at that time, yeah, in the early 2000s, was sort of that thing
right.
where it was like, it's almost like you just got like a free concert on TV, and
Right.
you were just like, ta-da.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they're so big now, and they were big then, but it was almost like that was kind of, they were going from the little guy to kind of overtaking the bigger guy almost. So
Yeah.
they were kind of Indian themselves for a while, which is something they were trying to trying to do. But so with that, so like you said, you kind of went instantly into the limelight because you had this, billion-dollar company with with incredible ad reach, playing a great song. So it was kind of, two incredibly great things put together. So were you just like, put out the album and then instantly you're playing the sold out shows and all that?
It's weird because we never felt that way. We never saw it that way. Looking back, like when we talk about it, we're like, oh yeah, this happened, this happened, this happened. We were so in the process of what's our stage going to look like. Like we did all our backdrops and we worked with our lighting designers. We were so involved in the actual art that we never were like, damn, this is happening. Like
Yeah.
it was so about like, how are we going to make this room feel like a unique show, and this room, and when we tour. and also like maintaining our relationships, you know, and like not losing touch of the heart of the band. So I actually, like people are like, what is it like to be successful or things like that? And I never, I guess in a way, like, yeah, I'm a full-time artist, so that's the success, but you're never
Yeah.
you've never reached, there's no like defining moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's just like crazy stuff that's happening, but it's always like, I'm still writing music, I'm still painting, I'm still married to the love of my life, I'm still with my band. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
nothing actually has really changed, except we're just able to do things now on a bigger level, which is really exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's probably a good way to look at it. You know, you're just, you're enjoying the process rather than, looking for that end destination somewhere.
Totally.
So tell us a little bit about the new album, because you guys have released a few albums since that debut, each with kind of, I listened to a lot of alt radio, and I know at least in LA, you guys get a lot of radio love here. Pretty consistently, and you guys have had some great catchy hits. More recently, Deleter, I've been playing that one. It's such a fun song. But tell us about the new album.
So the new album was sort of, it's a let's see. So this album came after we released Healer, and the day that we were about to leave on tour, there was like global shutdown,
Uh-huh.
literally
Uh-huh.
that day.
Right.
And for 6 months we were all separated, and which is a weird thing. Like, these are my best friends. We write all the time together. Everyone went back to where they live, and actually our drummer lived with us, and we wrote some cool music, and we were with our daughter, who's now 5. But we were like, dude, we gotta meet up and record some music, and some music that we have lingering, like the song that opens the album, Primetime. We've been opening with that at our shows for like 2 years, and just our sort of fans, our Grouplove family knows about that song. But
Mm-hmm.
we went in, we all flew to our bass player Dan's studio in Atlanta, and had to all like make sure we didn't have COVID, and all went in. And then
Sure.
it was like this amazing 9-day reunion. It was this beautiful, cathartic experience where we recorded predominantly live in the room, because we really missed the feeling of the live show, and we wanted these songs to have that feeling when you listen to it. And the album just came together really quickly. We actually didn't know we were really making an album until we recorded the last song, which is Shout.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, whoa, this is sick.
Awesome. I love that, just that visceral feeling where you're like, yes. And I know it's I'm a musician myself, and we we
You look
hadn't
like
been
one.
doing thanks. We haven't been doing anything for a while, of course. And we did a charity virtual charity show recently, but just rehearsing for that show I was like, playing this is the closest that I've gotten to live music in a year or so, and so it's, plus just playing yourself is fun, but the energy, the just music in the air, and then that's actually being made by other people is awesome. So I know what you mean by cathartic, because we all talked
Oh my
about
God.
how much of a release it was, and how much of how good it felt just for our mental health to be
Totally.
in a room with some people actually doing something.
I think when you're used to that feeling, also it becomes like, everyone I was talking to was becoming like master bakers, or was getting like super fit. They like found their new workout program, and I was just like, I miss playing music. Like, I don't want it. This is our extracurricular. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
the thing we do, and I like, there's no way we couldn't find that release. So what was interesting is we wrote this album Healer, but it took us to write This Is This to heal, because we were so
You guys
this
manifested
album,
your healing.
we did. We needed it. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
So I'm interested, just on a personal level, and there may be some other musicians out there who are interested as well. You mentioned you have a 5-year-old now, so congrats on having a 5-year-old child and being a successful artist in a happy marriage. But I'm getting there, where I'm thinking about that next step in life. How has it been like raising a kid? go as deep as you want on this, but how has it been like being like a professional musician, but also having a kid? And you also, you know, are married to someone you're working with,
Yeah,
which you know, appropriately, all of a sudden, I think the whole world may not have ever known what you're experiencing working every day with your significant other, but suddenly everyone's working at home with their significant others. So we find ourselves in similar situations.
totally.
Any
There's
anecdotes? Any tips for those people?
Well, first of all, I feel very blessed because Christian, we're like a yin yang sign, like we're like polar opposites. And so there's something, and we have the secret language of music together. So there's something like our bond feels strong on every level, and we work to keep it that way. You know, we write together, and that's beautiful. And then I'm sort of like, or we'll be jamming with the band, and then we'll be like, hey, we also should go on a date as a couple. You know, like we do a lot of things together, but there's so many different pieces of us that we still need to keep loving and like acknowledging. So we do that. And then we also have this amazing little girl who's turning out to love music also. She sings on at the end of the song, This Is the End. It's her voice, and she loves the
Awesome.
studio. She loves
Yeah.
playing drums, and she is like a loud child who needs a lot of love, you know? So for me, it's been right away when you have a kid, you're like, wow, okay, so this is our world now. This is no longer I can't like wake up and go for a long walk and go get coffee with a friend. And like, I mean, we can include her in everything we do, which we do, but also she has her life is developing now too. She's got friends and needs. And
Yeah.
so it's really about, for me, it's about finding balance, which has been a lot. I mean, this pandemic has really amplified that, but it's about finding enough time for yourself in the day so that you can be there for everyone around you. You know what I mean? But if I don't take those 20 minutes, whether I'm meditating or I'm going for a run or I'm calling my mom or whatever it is, you know, it does shift my energy and I can't be as present. So really it's just about taking a little time to be selfish so you can be selfless, you know?
That's true. I was just thinking about that recently. Like, if you don't take care of yourself, you are not going to be your best self for others. So it's
100%.
so true. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for that that drop of wisdom. Uh, and
Yeah.
actually, maybe we're getting along here in time. So thanks for telling us about the new album. And but we like to close the interview by asking if you had one piece of advice for aspiring artists, what would it be?
Well, as an aspiring artist,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
uh, uh, you know, it really is about figuring out who you are. And I know this sounds so generic in a way, but it's like, it's taken me up to this album to find a voice where I'm like, that really, like, I'm not putting on a character. I really found my voice, and it's more aggressive than some people are comfortable with. It's more, it's louder, it's grittier, and it's finally, I feel like I am just now starting to show the whole Hannah and not small pieces of myself. And I really think that that is what makes us as artists beautiful, is sharing the darkness and the light and the pain and the suffering and the things you don't even know are in you. When I listen to what my bandmates are playing, there's certain tones that suddenly open up an area in my soul that's like, oh my God, this, I've been carrying this with me for so long, like it's time to let it out. So I personally find if you use music as therapy almost, you'll get to know yourself, love yourself, and share yourself, and people will also be able to resonate, that will resonate with them. The more honest we are, the more people understand.
yeah. I mentioned this the other day, but I saw an interview with Seth Rogen the other day, and he was talking about it when they were making Super Bad, and he was like, we got really like really micro as far as like the experiences on that, you know, some teenage kids from Canada or whatever, and so we were thinking that people wouldn't relate, but it turned out that like the more specific we got with our weirdness, like the more people related to it. So
100%. Yeah, there's no, like, there should be no fear in art. You know what I mean? They're really like, that is the gift of being an artist, is that we get to walk out on the edge of the cliff and decide if we're jumping, you know what I mean? And that the whole point is, David Bowie had that great quote, like, if you're walking on the ocean, just when you like your feet can't touch the water anymore, you're almost there, go a little further. I mean, I said it wrong, but the idea is like, keep pushing yourself out until you can't touch the ground, because that's when you start making something interesting.
That's a cool quote. I'll have to look that up and hear it from the horse's mouth on that one, because that sounds
Exactly.
cool. I feel like this. I feel the same way with comedy. I feel like the best comedy kind of rides that line of like,
Ooh.
you're like, ooh, you're getting close there. But the better you are, the better you can get real close, but not cross the line. So I feel the same with comedy.
Yeah.
I love,
Comedy is crazy.
yeah, yeah. It's like an extreme sport nowadays, I feel like.
Definitely.
I love what you said about as an aspiring artist, because I feel like that you still consider yourself an aspiring artist, and I guess you'd need to every day just to keep developing. And I think you'd want to feel that feeling of, oh, this is more me, because that's ever changing, with the music and who you are. So hopefully with every new album you guys put out, you're feeling that way in a different way.
We are. I feel like squash the ego, because the ego just holds you back. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And there's no definition of like making it. It's just like, if you're making art, you're making it. That's
exactly
what it is.
I totally believe that if you're able to make art, if you're getting by,
you made it.
If you're getting by and you're putting out, art that you like, then you're doing it. You're an artist.
Exactly.
Bringing it backward.